Hello, this is Terry Duran, and today I'm going to be talking about how men display their emotions. Seem to be getting a lot of the same questions about women, well, from women, asking about why don't men show their emotions this way, or why don't men do this? Well, men don't show their emotion the same way that women do. That's the first thing that you have to understand. That's one of the biggest differences between males and females. Females wear their emotions on their sleeve. They're really invested in their emotions. They're emotionally driven. They use their emotion to make decisions. Men don't. Men don't generally show much emotion unless it's an extreme situation, an extreme amount of fun, an extremely happy situation, an extremely sad situation. He cries at a funeral. He cheers when he wins some money or something at the Super Bowl or during the Mayweather fight. You know what I'm saying? So he gets really angry when something is involving his children or his girl or something that he cares passionately about. So there are only a few limited situations where a man's going to have any emotional display at all. But I think the question that women talk about is primarily talking about in regards to a relationship. And I say this over and over and over again. Men display their emotion in relationships sexually. He wants to touch you. He wants to kiss on you. He wants to caress on you. He wants to be next to you. All those type of things are bonding events between a man and his woman. I looked up the definition of the word emotion, and it was an emotional state that occurs naturally. A man's sexual attraction to a woman is natural. He doesn't have to think about it. He doesn't have to rehearse it. He doesn't have to plan it. It is something that happens instinctively. So when he's around you, that is the emotion that is triggered because of his attraction to you. And the way that I broke it down to my wife is it's something that I call lovey-dovey mode, where it's basically the feeling or the high that a man has hours, sometimes days after a sexual experience with the woman that he really loves or cares about. He'll be, after he has sex with her, it increases his sexual arousal. So that's why a man will have sex with somebody that he loves and then a few hours later be wanting to do it again because he's thinking about her and how much he loves her and he's thinking about non-sexual things about her, but it's causing a reaction in his body. So he'll be thinking about how good of a mom she is, and his dick will get hard. You know what I'm saying? Which will lead to him wanting to have sex because it'll trigger the cycle all over again. He'll bond with the woman that he loves sexually. He'll get put back into lovey-dovey mode. And this is what happens if in a healthy relationship. Every couple of days, he gets some sexual gratification. It puts him back in lovey-dovey mode. He's happy. He don't have no desire to cheat. But there's a very, very, very big opposite to lovey-dovey mode. And that's what happened when a man is sexually deprived, or he feels he's not being sexually satisfied. He don't get to do the stuff he like to do. He got to do the same sex every time. You always sleep. He got to have sex with you in your motherfucking head scarf and shit. That's not what men picture when they're thinking about women. You know what I'm saying? Like, part of the reason that men end up cheating on their wife is because of the visual excitement. So things like that play a role in it. But if a man is getting sex from his woman and it is interested and it keeps him engaged, he will be much less likely to seek to invest the time and effort that it's going to take to get sex outside of his relationship, especially if he's not lying to women to get the sex. So I know women, it makes them feel like a sexual object or what have you. I hear that all the time, but that's not the case. I mean, think about it like this way. You rejecting him makes him feel like you're not attracted to him, like you don't want him. It makes him regret being in the relationship. And guess what all those type of thoughts turning and turning in a horny man's head does? Ding, ding, ding. You guessed it. It makes him want to cheat on your ass. That is a very, very, very big problem in a relationship. He's making an advance toward the woman he loves. He's being faithful. He's doing all the stuff that he's supposed to do. And he gets rejected over and over again. Whatever happens, happens. So that's a lot of the situations where a man will feel like, you made me cheat. You know what I'm saying? Like, When we got in this relationship, we made the agreement that I would come to only you for sex. And then when I did, you kept rejecting me, which put me in a real fucked up predicament. Because a man's, in most cases, my female followers correct me on this all the time, but in most cases, a man's sexual drive is a lot higher than a female's. And one thing that females never seem to take into consideration is a man's sexual activity before they were together. Just me personally, before I was in a committed to my wife, I would have sex with 4 or 5 different women weekly. So the amount of sex that I got prior to my relationship was a major transition for me. And it's like that for a lot of men. Women don't know how many other women that were there before them, how often they were involved sexually, how often he got head, how often for guys that are successful with women, it can be very active. So those are the type of things that you have to put in perspective when a guy's in a relationship. And if he's displaying his emotion to you sexually and you are rejecting it, that's going to change the love that he has towards you. And that's one of the major things that end relationships. If you got any other questions, hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, Terry Duran. I'll be more than happy to answer the questions. Thanks for tuning in.